now presents a reading of articles and features from the USA Today for Wednesday, August 5th, 2026. Your reader for this hour is Mary Gilmore. And I think we're going to start with election 2026. GOP is at odds in the House and the Senate. Congressional Republicans are headed into the home stretch ahead of the crucial midterm election year, bitterly divided over their competing legislative priorities. Between the Senate and the House of Representatives, there are vastly different expectations among GOP lawmakers over what they can accomplish over the remainder of the year. The centerpieces of President Donald Trump's agenda, enacting voting restrictions, ramping up defense spending amid the Iran war, confirming cabinet nominees, and a long-shot effort to eliminate the Senate's filibuster, have sown intra-party discord. Republican defections in the House of Representatives have repeatedly prompted symbolic rebukes of the Iran war. Fiscal conservatives like Republican Chip Roy, Republican Texas, are miffed about Trump's push for billions in more spending without compensating spending cuts. Staunch MAGA supporters like Representative Anna Paulina Luna of Florida are openly griping about Senate Majority Leader John Thu's refusal to upend his chamber's voting rules. Internal strategy documents obtained by USA Today from within the Senate Republican Conference have warned of stories of conflict between Republicans. Getting everyone on the same page, in short, is proving to be a challenge. We keep over-promising and under-delivering, Senator John Cornyn, Republican Texas, told reporters last week, which is not a recipe for good morale or higher voter participation in the midterm elections. Stark disagreements within the GOP are jeopardizing the political potential of what could ultimately become the last months-long stretch for years when the party has full control of the Capitol. Before the House left for August recess, one congressman summed up how Republicans in the lower chamber have been feeling lately about their Senate counterparts. The Senate has been the quicksand of any good legislation, South Carolina Representative Ralph Norman said. The day before he made those comments, the House passed a budget plan on a party line vote to allocate more than $70 billion to defense and intelligence spending. Part of that money would be used to replenish munitions and weapons depleted in the Iran war. The blueprint set aside several $1 billion for farm assistance, too. Crucially, it also included about $10 billion for election-related purposes. House Speaker Mike Johnson and the White House said the money could be used to implement elements of the Save America Act, the president's election overhaul bill that would restrict mail-in voting and require photo ID and proof of citizenship to cast a ballot. The budget gambit wouldn't necessarily include the full SAVE Act, though. Instead, it could incentivize states through grants to implement elements of the bill. Standing next to Vice President J.D. Vance in mid-July, Johnson called it our best shot at enacting our party's top priority legislation. Key Senate Republicans, on the other hand, are clearly less excited about it. Math problem and vote count. Because of special Senate rules, the last budget legislation needs only 50 votes to pass. So-called reconciliation bills can avoid the typical 60-vote threshold known as the filibuster, which the president has been urging the Senate to get rid of for months. Yet GOP senators have a wide range of concerns with the new reconciliation bill. It doesn't have enough money for the Pentagon, some say, including South Dakota Senator Mike Rounds. It probably is not enough to take care of the problem, he said in July, referring to the military's depleted resources amid the Iran War. Others, like retiring Senator Thom Tillis of North Carolina, said they'll refuse to vote for the budget bill if it includes the Save America Act because it's too complex to try to implement before midterm elections. The effort to pass the legislation is a waste of time and distracts from the Senate's other work, Tillis says. People are selling you a bill of goods, Tillis said on the Senate floor in July. He and Senators Suzanne Collins, Lisa Murkowski, and Mitch McConnell voted in June against adding part of the SAVE to an ICE funding bill. Murkowski has been outspoken about how certain voting restrictions in the legislation would hurt rural communities in her home state of Alaska. Thune, for his part, is wary of the uphill battle another budget bill would cause. The legislation, the majority leader warned at a news conference recently, could overtake the work of as many as a dozen committees. It also could force Republicans in battleground states to take politically uncomfortable votes in marathon votoramas, a controversial side effect of passing party-line budget bills that can give Democrats unusual agenda-setting power. In the last reconciliation vote, Democrats managed to put several Republicans on the record rebuking the president's White House ballroom plans and weaponization fund. We're taking a hard look at the latest reconciliation bill, Thune said. But we also know we have to have 50 votes. At the moment, as I've said before, we're probably not there. Seen this vampire movie before? Top White House officials, including Office of Management and Budget Director Russ Vought, met with Senate Republicans last week to get everyone on the same page about legislation. Several emerged with unanswered questions. I've seen this vampire movie before, Louisiana Senator John Kennedy said, employing a metaphor he often uses to describe political stalemates. I'm not sure we have a plan. Both the House and Senate are scheduled to be gone for much of August and October, leaving them just a matter of weeks in session before November's election. Next, I'm going to read the article, Stadium Tours Are Bigger Than Ever, But Fans Are Divided. Sometimes I wish they had phonetically spelled words for me. I'm sorry if I mispronounce any. Some say too much sacrifice for larger crowds, higher profits. A decade ago, stadium tours were the domain of established artists such as Bruce Springsteen, the Rolling Stones, and Beyoncé. Now, the acts stationing themselves in those concrete palaces built for football and baseball don't need to be road tested for years or have a stockpile of number one hits. Folk pop singer Noah Kahan, less than a decade into his career and absent even one number one hit on the Billboard Hot 100, is selling out stadiums nationwide on the Great Divide Tour, including a recent 4-night run at Boston's Fenway Park. Likewise, alternative country singer Zac Brown, whose lone crossover chart topper, I Remember Everything with Casey Musgraves, was 3 years ago. Yet Brian's 2025 tour included the largest ticketed concert in U.S. history. 112,408 attendees of Michigan Stadium, and his current stadium jaunt with Heaven on Tour is playing multiple nights in several cities. The conversation among music fans is usually about skyrocketing concert prices and battling bots for tickets. But venue choice has also shifted a level, with more musicians opting for massive stadium outings because their fan bases support it. Now, the floodgates are open and music is more accessible with streaming and social media in addition to radio and videos, said Andy Gessler, editor-in-chief of concert industry publication Pollstar. Everything is always at your fingertips, and that's helped promote a lot of different kinds of music beyond just rock. There's no arguing with the economics. More people crammed into bigger buildings for fewer shows reduces costs and the toll of travel and performance on the artists. But what about the fans? Shared experience or massive pain? Sally Stoddard has been attending concerts regularly since she saw Jimi Hendrix when she was 14. Her last stadium show was the Rolling Stones at New Jersey's MetLife Stadium during their 2024 Hackney Diamonds tour. I had never seen the Stones, and I figured either they were going to be dead or I was by the time they came around again, said Stoddard, 71, who lives outside of Philadelphia. But I just don't like the whole stadium vibe. I find that people talk through the shows more than anywhere else. The sound isn't great. It's a hassle to get to, and unless you're right up front, and I'm never going to pay those prices, you wind up watching the screen. I think for other people it's an event. They're not there for the music, and I'm there for the music. The event aspect is precisely why Pollstar's Gensler thinks so many fans, begrudgingly or not, flock to stadium concerts. Whether it's 50,000 devotees packing Rogers Stadium in Toronto for the North American return of Oasis, strangers with arms locked and beers hoisted as they share in a once inconceivable reunion, or the staggering 10 million people who attended Taylor Swift's record-setting Eras tour, joyfully trading friendship bracelets with fellow fans and stadium security alike, the energy is incomparable. There's something about 50,000 people all rooting in the same direction that is so powerful, Gensler says. You're not going to get that at the Troubadour in Los Angeles or a theater somewhere else. There is just something about that volume of people who know every word to, say, Kendrick Lamar and SZA's songs. You're all cheering for the same thing. Jonathan Shapiro, a lifelong music fan who hits more than 36 concerts a year and attended his first stadium concert in 1973, the Grateful Dead, the Allman Brothers, and the band, agrees that sometimes that communal experience is a thrill. Other times, the disconnect is insurmountable. We went to U2 many years ago at Lincoln Financial Field, and after 10 songs, I thought, I don't really need to be here. I'm a mile from the stage, and I wasn't moved at all, the Philadelphia resident 71 says. The sound sucks. The crowd is too big, and it loses its intimacy. When I go to see live music, I want to feel connected to the performer. My high-level rule is it better be something I have to see, or the artist is never going to play again. Otherwise, I'm out. But Shapiro adds he understands the appeal of the typical visual extravaganzas produced by most stadium acts. Last year, he traveled to Soldier Field in Chicago to take his adult daughter to Beyoncé's Cowboy Carter tour and appreciated the scene. It was fabulous. I got really good seats on the floor at the end of the runway, and the sound was remarkably good. That car floating through the air was definitely a spectacle, he said. I made an exception to my no stadiums rule because it was Beyoncé and I was with my daughter. I was invested. Pollstar deemed 2022 the year of the stadium, noting that every artist from every genre and generation sprinted to perform in massive venues as post-pandemic demand for live music skyrocketed. The number of stadium shows has fluctuated slightly since, but revenue remains steady. The first half of 2026, 11 stadium tours are blanketing the country, equal to 2024 totals, but down from 18 the previous year at the same point. However, revenue from shows produced in stadiums, which Pollstar defines as capacity of 30,000 and more, is hardly slumping. The market is growing through more shows and volume, not necessarily higher average prices, which eased slightly from the 2024 peak of $135.92 to $132.62 in 2025, and about $119.92 at mid-year 2026. Polestar's mid-year business analysis of stadium tours cites Bad Bunny's Debbie Tirar Mass Photos World Tour, I'm sorry about that pronunciation, which has not played the mainland United States because of the Puerto Rican singer's concern for his fans amid immigration deportation efforts, as tops in the world so far this year, with 225.2 million grossed from 27 concerts. K-pop megastars BTS reunited for their Arirang World Tour and has pulled in $139.7 million from 13 shows starting in South Korea in April. And stalwart rockers AC/DC, who have traversed stadiums worldwide on their Power Up tour since April 2025, has grossed $120.3 million from 15 shows in 2026. You're listening to a reading of today's issue of the USA Today on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. The time is 16 minutes after the hour. No one would dispute the current stadium packers Harry Styles, Chris Brown, and Usher and Ed Sheeran have long honed their craft, but a handful of newer artists are taking an accelerated path to supersized venues, promoting some concern that they lack the live performance experience of previous generations. Lizzo, in a recent interview with USA Today, lamented that she had difficulties finding opening acts for her tours because artists once considered fledgling prime choices to play before a headliner are leapfrogging their traditional career trajectory. You've got people who are TikTok famous that are playing arena shows 1 year out in the game, she said. I just feel like that jump has shifted a lot of things. It's shifted the quality of the show, the quality of the showman. I'm not knocking it, but I came up touring, building a fan base. Music industry insiders, however, don't see an issue. Jason Rio, Senior Vice President for Live Entertainment and Content Development for Legends Global, credits social platforms including TikTok and YouTube for helping some musicians develop a devoted fan base quickly. Artists know what they're capable of, Rio says. If the artist feels they have a show ready for a stadium level tour, they should capitalize on the moment. People often don't see behind the scenes at how much work an artist puts in before they pierce pop culture. Just because they may be skipping steps others have taken in the past doesn't mean the work hasn't been done to be able to put on a stadium level show. Gensler subscribes to a similar sentiment built on the reality of expansive music consumption. Not anybody can play stadiums, Gensler says. You can't just go from your bedroom to an arena, but artists have created creative directors to help them get their message across. It's a good thing, I would say, that artists have a little more access directly to the public and the industry in here to support them. Traditional gatekeepers are gone. Michigan reports deaths from parasites. Michigan health officials confirmed the first 2 deaths connected to the ongoing national outbreak of cyclosporasis, the parasitic infection known for causing explosive diarrhea. Michigan, which has led the U.S. case count, reported 11,234 confirmed cases of cyclosporasis and 2 deaths on August 3rd. The state's health department noted that both patients had significant underlying health conditions that may have been impacted by the illness and related dehydration. Health officials didn't immediately provide further information about the deceased. The Center for Disease Control and Prevention has not yet released a statement, but a banner atop its Cyclospora tracking page read, CDC is aware of 2 cyclosporasis-related deaths in people with underlying health conditions from Michigan as part of this outbreak. The CDC did not immediately respond to the USA Today's request for comment on August 3rd. It's a sobering reminder that foodborne illness should never be dismissed as just a stomach bug, former Food and Drug Administration Deputy Commissioner for Food Policy and Response, Fred Yanis, told USA Today. Every preventable foodborne illness matters, and that prevention must always remain our highest priority. Cyclosporasis is not generally considered deadly, though it can cause serious disease in certain at-risk people. Death from the infection is uncommon in the United States, said state health officials and the CDC, which describes cyclosporasis as not usually life-threatening. In fact, cyclosporasis' low death rate may contribute to the lack of regular surveillance and research of Cyclospora in America, Dr. Robert Mandrell, a microbiology researcher and former U.S. Department of Agriculture official, told USA Today. Why is there not more interest in Cyclospora until an outbreak happens? The major reason is that nobody dies. There are very few deaths, he said. If it's E. coli 0157H7, it would get 10 times more notoriety because children are most vulnerable. They can get kidney disease and die, but Cyclospora tends not to kill anybody. Cases number in the tens of thousands. Ohio and Michigan have led the charge in reporting confirmed cyclosporasis cases, tracking numbers that well outpace federal totals. It is because cases tracked by the CDC are updated weekly and reported only if they have been laboratory confirmed, occurred since May 1st, and cleared several other hurdles to be added to the nationwide count. CDC numbers tend to experience a 6-week lag, according to the agency. The latest CDC update on January 28th pinpointed 6,707 laboratory-confirmed cases of the illness across 45 states since May 1st, a more than 2,500 increase since its last report on July 21st. Thousands of other suspected cases have not yet been confirmed by laboratories. The Ohio Department of Health's infectious disease dashboard showed 4,087 confirmed cases of cyclosporasis between May 1st and its last update on July 28th. Add that to the over 11,000 in Michigan, and these two states alone already have more than doubled the last federally reported numbers. Still tracking the source. The Michigan-centered outbreak that's linked to recalled iceberg lettuce grown by Taylor Farms in Mexico has been identified as the largest outbreak nationwide, according to the FDA. But federal health authorities are also attempting to trace several smaller case clusters that don't yet have an identified cause. The source of cyclosporasis outbreak is more difficult to track than other foodborne illnesses because of a long incubation period, difficulty obtaining samples, and the inability to use the same genetic tracking tools available for pathogens like E. coli and Listeria, as previously reported by USA Today. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. said in a July 21st news briefing that the outbreak was under control. But critics have pointed towards cuts to relevant health agencies, with some saying that scaled-back surveillance and limited staffing enabled not only the cyclospora spread, but also other recent outbreaks like screwworm. Last year, the CDC scaled back a decades-long federal-state partnership that monitors foodborne illnesses, including those caused by Cyclospora. While Kelly said the cuts were for redundant programs and called the criticism invalid, some experts have noted that the loss of surveillance infrastructure and data could risk delaying authorities' ability to identify the source of an outbreak and stop further transmission, USA Today reported. HHS did not immediately respond to USA Today's request for comments August 3rd. Arson arrest made in the Spokane blazes. Authorities in Washington have arrested a man in connection with one of the major wildfires devastating the eastern part of the state, which has destroyed hundreds of homes and forced tens of thousands to flee. Aaron F. Farnacci, 37, of Spokane, was arrested on a single charge of first-degree arson related to the Old Trails fire, which sprang up August 1st, alongside two other major fires, Spokane County Sheriff John Knowles said at a news conference August 3rd. The causes of the other fires are under investigation. The fires, which began in the Spokane area, have burned more than 10,000 acres and remained 0% contained as of the latest update. At least 65,000 people were under evacuation orders on August 3rd, a dramatic increase from the day before as flames spread through residential areas. Hundreds of structures, including homes and businesses, have been destroyed, according to the California Interagency Incident Management Team 7. Videos from the fire zone showed smoke plumes towering over trees and neighborhoods as airplane tankers dropped fire retardant on the fast-moving flames. Footage also showed homes left in ruins among burnt trees as the fire swept along wooded ridge lines near residential areas. No injuries or fatalities have been confirmed as of August 3rd, said Benjamin Kosel, a spokesman for the California Interagency Incident Management Team 7. But Kosel warned that could change as fires subside and search crews gain access to devastated areas that remain inaccessible. He noted that an unspecified number of people were missing after the fire spread from forested areas into neighborhoods and commercial districts. We are still assessing the potential for lives to be lost, Spokane Mayor Lisa Brown said at a news conference. The Spokane complex includes three main wildfires burning in the region: the Old Trails Fire, the Autumn Lane Fire, and the Fairview Fire. The largest of the three fires, the Autumn Lane Fire, was burning in northwest Spokane County and southeast Stevens County. The Spokane complex wildfires are burning in northeast Washington state on the outskirts of the city of Spokane, the state's second most populous city, with about 230,000 residents. Most of the blazes are within Spokane County, where more than 550,000 people live. Authorities said August 3rd that 17 fires were burning across Washington state, covering 262,000 acres. This is going to shape up to be a historic fire season in Washington state and the Pacific Northwest, Commissioner of Public Lands Dave Upthegrove said. A witness alerted authorities. Sheriff Knowles said a very good citizen alerted authorities that he saw a man standing on the side of the road as he was going to pick somebody up. Then about 10 minutes later, the witness saw the same man bending down over some grass and looking nervous, then walking away, in the same area where it was determined that one of the wildfires, the Old Trails Fire, began on August 1st. Farinacci was detained and found to have matches and a lighter He was questioned and released that day, Noel said. After further investigation, he was arrested and charged, the sheriff said. Noel said the origin of the fire was determined to be exactly where the witness saw Farinacci kneeling, and fire investigators determined it was consistent with having been started by a match or lighter igniting the grass. You're listening to a reading of today's issue of the USA Today on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. The time is 30 minutes after the hour. It was citizens who were paying attention to their surroundings, being aware and willing to step up and say something that led to the relatively quick apprehension of Mr. Farinacci, Noel said. He made statements when he was detained about, "We didn't know the whole story," or something to that effect, Noel said. Farinacci said has a previous conviction for manslaughter in Arizona, Noel said. It was not immediately clear if Farinacci had an attorney who could comment on his behalf. USA Today reached out to the Spokane County Public Defender's Office. Western U.S. battling wildfires. The 2026 wildfire season in the Pacific Northwest has surpassed 2 million acres burned well before the region's historical August peak, driven by prolonged heat waves, dry conditions, and severe lightning storms tracked extensively by NOAA satellites, according to the National Interagency Fire Center. The agency reported more than 100 large new wildfires July 31st in 15 states, the bulk in the Northwest. Across the country, 44,722 wildfires have scorched more than 515 million acres as of August 3rd. Data from the Interagency Fire Center shows year to date, the total ranks as the third highest on record for this point in the year, trailing only 2022 at 5.8 million acres and 2017 at 5.7 million acres. About 1,100 firefighters were assigned to the Spokane area fires, and more than 29,200 wildfire personnel have been deployed nationwide. Resources were heavily concentrated across Washington State, Oregon, and Idaho, the Interagency Fire Center said. We're on to the money section of the USA Today and our 50 states. Ohio, Columbus. Donning a bright yellow vest and paddling her way through the water, Elle, a 2-year-old border collie, has her sights set on a prize, a flock of Canadian geese. As a herding dog tasked with rounding up geese, Elle is doing exactly what her instincts tell her to do. What she doesn't know is that for businesses and homeowners who hire Geese Chasers Ohio, the company she works for, she's providing a humane alternative for getting rid of the birds that doesn't involve nest destruction or euthanasia. Elle's goal is never to harm the geese, but rather to scare them into relocating. Jason Helfer, owner of the Geese Chasers Ohio franchise since 2022, said their services are also recommended by Pet PETA. Oh, it shows her in the water, shows the dog just kind of getting the geese to move on. Okay, we're going to go to Alabama, Center. Gladstone State Community College Cherokee campus has enrolled the largest nursing cohort in its history after accepting 54 students into its associate degree nursing program this summer. College officials said it received 90 applications, the highest number ever submitted for the Cherokee location. Alaska, Petersburg. NOAA Fisheries, Alaska, said a humpback whale was freed from a gill net after a public tip prompted rapid response from the marine mammal experts, KTUU reported. Arizona, Phoenix. Arizona is unlocking an old stash of Colorado River water that that its cities socked away before climate change and overuse drained the river of its former access and cut into the state's supply. Salt River Project has opened a Gilbert Road pipeline that will help move groundwater from wells into the Arizona Canal and area water utilities. Arkansas, Fort Smith. Mercy Hospital Fort Smith has earned 3 achievement awards through the American Heart Association's Get With the Guidelines program. Mercy Hospital, Northwest Arkansas, also received the same 3 honors. California, Davis. Gray wolves in northeastern California are relying heavily on cattle as a food source, according to a University of California, Davis study. Researchers found cattle DNA in 72% of the wolf scat samples collected from the Lassen and Harvey wolf packs. Colorado, Pueblo County. Colorado Parks and Wildlife is warning residents to watch for wildlife displaced by the Aspen Acres fire. Due to lower snowpack, there was less food available for large animals this spring, said Justin Morris, a CPW wildlife manager. Morris said there is a conflict issue as the animals get into things they shouldn't. Connecticut, Norwich. A $16,000 grant from Electric Boat Employees Community Services Association will support 2 Thames Valley Council for Community Action programs serving Eastern Connecticut residents. The funding will aid Home Again and Senior Nutrition Meals on Wheels programs. Delaware, Wilmington. A 243-unit apartment complex could be exempt from paying its full tax bill based on its newly reassessed value. The press became a vocal point of public criticism after Newcastle County's first reassessment in more than 40 years sharply increased its value. District of Columbia, Washington. Autonomous delivery robots have started mapping streets and sidewalks in downtown Washington ahead of an August rollout of food delivery services, WUSA 9 reported. Florida, Titusville. Astronaut Guy Garner visited Burger Rob's to add his signature to the mystery astronaut dollar bill, already signed by 4 of his NASA STS-27 crewmates. Owners Rob and Shelby Buffalo found the bill in the till last year. Georgia, Savannah. Chatham County Public School System will enforce Georgia's Distraction-Free Education Act to include high school this year, effectively banning the use of all personal electronic devices. Hawaii, Honolulu. The Office of Hawaiian Affairs has launched a nationwide search for a new chief executive officer while continuing a legal dispute with its current CEO, Stacy Keolani Fiera, Hawaii News Now reported. Idaho, Boise. Washington County Emergency Management said that the Tartar fire grew by about 6,000 acres overnight as of August 3rd, has burned approximately 103,530 acres, KTV B7 reported. Officials said the blaze continues to threaten the communities near Weiser, KTV B7 reported. Illinois, Durand. The Forest Preserves of Winnebago County dedicated the Paula Swanson Forest Preserve on July 23rd. Forest Preserve leaders honored Swanson's longtime support and volunteer service, and her nephew helped unveil a replica of the sign that will mark the preserve's entrance. Indianapolis. The Indiana Historical Society eliminated 11 staff members following Governor Mike Brown's decision to terminate its lease with the state. The society is also nixing its National History Day competition, a student research contest it's sponsored for almost 50 years. Iowa, Des Moines. Black students are nearly 4 times more likely to be arrested than their peers in Iowa public schools, with the school resource officer, according to a new American Civil Liberties Union of Iowa report. Kansas, Wichita. A trial date of February 23rd was set in Storm Chaser Reed Timmer's federal copyright lawsuit against Shamrock Hills LLC. Timmer says Shamrock Hills violated copyright law by using part of a video on Instagram that he took during a 2022 tornado in Andover. Kentucky, West Paducah. The U.S. Department of Energy announced it would use more than $100 billion in privately funded investments to redevelop portions of the Paducah gaseous diffusion plant into a data center campus. Louisiana, New Orleans. If you call 911 in New Orleans, you may hear an artificial intelligence agent answering your call. The Orleans Parish Communication District is changing the way dispatch calls are handled in New Orleans with the implementation of new technology. Maine, York. York County Service Association announced it will soon be picking up the volunteer ride service once led by Heart to Heart, which was discontinued after founder Judd Knox's retirement. Maryland, Buxton. Former U.S. Representative Roscoe Bartlett celebrated his 100th birthday in June. Bartlett served in the U.S. House of Representatives from 1992 until 2012, the Frederick News Post reported. Well, happy birthday to him. Massachusetts, Brockton. Maria Late, a longtime home visitor with the Great Brockton Health Families Program, has received the Children's Trust Faces of Prevention Award as she prepares to retire after 21 years supporting local families. Michigan, Indian River. Independent Northern Michigan musician Lee Fei-Su has received 3 nominations for the Josie Music Awards, including Male Country Vocalist of the Year, Country Song of the Year for Be With You, and Americana Multi-Genre Infused Song of the Year for Cold, according to a community announcement. Minnesota, Waite Park. King's Academy, formerly St. Cloud Christian School, is nearing completion of its new campus with a public dedication event on August 23rd. Mississippi, Jackson. Mississippi is losing fewer people than it was a decade ago, but the state continues to struggle with a persistent drain that sends many of its young, educated workers elsewhere. The state's population was estimated at 2.95 million in 2025, slightly below its 2020 census count, according to U.S. Census Bureau data. Meanwhile, analysis by Working Together Mississippi's Rethink Mississippi initiative estimates that nearly half of Mississippi-born college graduates live outside of the state. Missouri, Columbia. University of Missouri researchers have developed a purple corn-based food coloring that could give manufacturers a natural alternative to artificial dyes while creating new market opportunities for Midwest farmers. Montana, Missoula. University of Montana researchers unveiled a free mapping app, NAIP-CHM, that can help with land management and fighting wildfires, KPAX reported. The news outlet reported the USA Department of Agriculture provided nearly all the funding for the project. Nebraska, Omaha. State Senator Margot Juarez has been diagnosed with breast cancer, according to her social media post, KOLN reported. Juarez says she is optimistic about her prognosis and will continue to serve District Number 5 while receiving treatment, the news outlet reported. You are listening to a reading of today's issue of USA Today on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. The time is 45 minutes past the hour. Nevada, Carson City. The Nevada State Legislature's Joint Interim Committee of Legislative Operations and Elections voted to sponsor a bill for the 2027 session, modeled after legislation passed by New Mexico earlier this year, according to the Nevada Current. The legislation would, among other things, restrict armed federal agents near polling places. New Hampshire, Concord. The leader of a New England neo-Nazi group has agreed to admit he violated New Hampshire's civil rights law 3 years after leading a demonstration outside a Concord cafe hosting a children's drag story hour, according to the Attorney General's office, Concord Monitor reported. New Jersey, Trenton. On July 30th, Governor Mickey Sherrill signed into law a bipartisan bill designating June 10th of each year as Christina Grimmie Day. Grimmie was fatally shot by an obsessed fan while signing autographs at a meet and greet event after her concert in Orlando on June 10th, 2016. She was 22 years old. New Mexico, Santa Fe. New Mexico State Parks is closing multiple boat ramps due to historically low water levels, KRQE reported. New York, Ithaca. Local fabric artist Mary Milne and daughter Frida Kay are inviting people nationwide to contribute handmade fabric squares to the National Quilt Project. An exhibition is planned on the National Mall in 2030. North Carolina, Matthews. The yellow-legged hornet, an invasive insect that has a taste for attacking honeybees, has arrived in the Tar Heel State. The State Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services officials have set up more than 200 survey traps in the Charlotte area, hoping to target nests before the next generation of hornets restart the breeding process. North Dakota, Burke County. A mammoth excavation under a northwest North Dakota garage is unearthing a more complete prehistoric beast than paleontologists had hoped for when the discovery was made in the 1980s, North Dakota Monitor reported. Oklahoma, Norman. Norman City Council unanimously approved the partnership with Dr. Pepper 7-Up Incorporated for the purposes of providing a source of revenue to the Norman Utilities Authority and establishing a long-term tourism, branding, and event activation partnership in relation to the Lindsay Street Water Tower, a staff report of the meeting noted. Oregon, Portland. Oregon set a new modern record for acres burned in wildfires on August 2nd. The state's 60 large fires have blackened 1,978 million acres in 2026, which surpasses the previous record of 1.93 million for the entire 2024 season, according to the Northwest Coordination Center. Pennsylvania, Harrisburg. Pennsylvania finished 17th overall in WalletHub's early education study, placing ahead of Delaware but behind neighboring New Jersey. Rhode Island, Pawtucket. 5 former altar boys who grew up in the hardscramble Prospect Heights public housing development in Pawtucket have joined together in suing the Roman Catholic Bishop of Providence over abuse they say they suffered for years from a priest with a known history of such incidents. South Carolina, Walhalla. A person in South Carolina has been infected with a rare and serious viral illness after being bitten by a mosquito. Oconee County Emergency Services posted on Facebook on July 30th that the South Carolina Department of Public Health confirmed a case of La Crosse encephalitis, known as LACE, in a county resident. South Dakota, Pierre. A heat wave is causing an energy emergency, according to the U.S. Department of Energy, and prompted the agency to issue an emergency order on August 2nd to use backup generators in 17 states, including South Dakota, to maintain power. The order was in effect through August 3rd. Tennessee, Nashville. Nashville is known as a national health care hub, but that doesn't spare Tennessee from ranking in the 10 worst states for affordable and quality health care services in a report from the Wallet Hub. Texas, Amarillo. Bell Textron Incorporated announced it received an estimated $300 million contract for the United States Department of Navy for upgrades on nearly 50 aircraft. Utah, Beaver. Eagle Point Resort will remain closed through the 2026-2027 winter season due to extensive damage caused by the Cottonwood Fire, KUTV reported. Vermont, Milton. Residents will get a first look at a new accessible walking trail and outdoor reading experience when Milton hosts a grand opening celebration at Bombardier Park West on August 11th. Virginia, Richmond. Most of Virginia remains under a drought warning, but the state environmental officials said recent rainfall has helped put a dent in those conditions. On July 31st, the Virginia Department of Environmental Quality said it was de-escalating the Big Sandy region in southwest Virginia from drought warning to drought watch. Washington, Olympia. Drivers with low incomes will soon be able to pay less to travel on 2 of Washington's newest toll roadways, Washington State Standard reported. After months of conversation, the Washington State Transportation Commission approved a new program offering a 50% discount on tolls on the state route 509 and 167 expressways in Puget Sound region. West Virginia, Little Birch. At 95 years old, Army veteran John Morrison completed a tandem parachute jump with West Virginia skydivers, something he hadn't done since his service in Japan. West Virginia News reported. Morrison served in the 82nd Airborne Division during the Korean War and said while jumping is different now, he hasn't ruled out future jumps, the news outlet reported. Wisconsin, Richfield. A 69-year-old man took to the air August 1st to avoid traffic to Cabela's in Richfield. According to Washington County Sheriff's Office Facebook post, the man told deputies the drive was too long. As the pilot was properly licensed, complied with Federal Aviation Administration regulations, landed safely, and answered deputies' questions, the errands by air trip was entirely legal, according to the Sheriff's Office. Wyoming, Jackson Hole. The Wyoming Game and Fish Department is reminding the public not to release goldfish obtained at the Teton County Fair into the wild, Jackson Hole News and Guide reported. Doing so is illegal and can result in a loss of hunting and fishing privileges. A fine and jail time, the news outlet reported. Drowning in debt. Drivers always risk being backed into a financial tight spot if they want to buy a new car just a year or two after taking out a car loan. Odds are pretty good, especially if they had a small down payment, that the car buyer will owe more money on that old car loan than they get when they trade in a 1 or 2 year old car or truck. It's called negative equity, and we're breaking records once again. Yup, it's not because everyone's trading up to a new car way too soon. Yet. It's not because everybody's trading up to a car way too soon. The average age of underwater trade-ins hit 4 years, another second quarter record. That's up from 3.8 years in the second quarter last year, but it's down slightly from 4.3 years in the first quarter of 2026. The average amount of these upside down loans reached $6,884 in the second quarter of 2026, a record for any second quarter period, according to the latest research from Edmunds. That's up from $6,754 in the second quarter of last year, but it is down from $7,183 in the first quarter of 2026. You'd be amazed how many drivers are underwater. Nearly 3 in 10, or 29.6%, of trade-ins toward new vehicles were underwater in the second quarter, the highest second quarter figure since 2020. This is a slight decrease from the 30.9% share recorded in the first quarter, but represents an increase from 20.6% in the second quarter of 2025. It's significantly lower than the 37.2% level the second quarter of 2020. Ivan Drury, Edmunds Director of Insights, shared some theories with the Detroit Free Press, part of the USA Today network, about why so many borrowers are encountering these financial landmines. Some of the scene was set back in 2022 when cars and trucks were limited after a shortage of semiconductor chips and disruptions in the supply chain after the COVID-19 pandemic hit in early 2020. Those who bought then paid peak prices, maybe even more than the sticker price, and got what they could find on the dealer lots in 2022 when inventories were tight. Maybe they even added extended warranties or other add-ons to the mix. So maybe ended up with bigger car loans to do the deal. Don't bet on getting top dollar for your trade. Whether you owe more on a car loan than the car is worth will depend a great deal on how many miles you have on the car, its condition, how much you're willing to shop around on a trade-in, the popularity of your car or truck's make and model, whether there has been a serious recall on the vehicle, and whether there is a major redesign ahead for that model, or even whether a manufacturer decides to pull the plug entirely on making that vehicle in the future. You're listening to a reading of articles and features from USA Today for Wednesday, August 5th, 2026 on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. We'll return for more readings after this short break. Your reader for this hour has been Mary Gilmore. Thank you.
You're listening to the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. As of this year, our agency has broadcast more than 300,000 hours of radio readings. Volunteer radio readers read newspapers, magazines, and books to area people who are blind or have a print disability, who are provided reading radios. Radio Reading's broadcast signal is provided at no charge by WNED. Radio Reading broadcasts from studios at 1199 Harlem Road in suburban Buffalo. Please let others know about Radio Reading. It's your service. For more information on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, call 716-821-5555.
continue now with our reading of articles from today's issue of USA Today. Your reader for this hour is Nancy. This is the sports section. Just win, baby. Raiders breaking major QB trend with number 1 rookie Fernando Mendoza. Compete with, not against. That sounds like some sort of company line coming from Fernando Mendoza, the undisputed franchise quarterback of the future for the Las Vegas Raiders, as he cuts his teeth during his rookie NFL training camp. Yes, Kirk Cousins, 37 and counting, entered camp as QB1, and the Raiders' brain trust has done a masterful job in easing pressure on the Heisman Trophy-winning quarterback, drafted number 1 overall, by lowering expectations for an immediate ascent. That's a sound approach, for now. And Mendoza is flowing with it accordingly. The entire quarterback room were all trying to bring each other's standards up, Mendoza said during his first press conference on July 30th. Fair enough. Even with the elephant in the quarterback room existing, with the one that led Indiana, yes, Indiana, to the national title. I mean, if Mendoza can do that with the Hoosiers, anything like a Raiders revival is possible. Just give it time. The QBs, remember, are competing together with no time for controversy. Even Aidan O'Connell, the number 3, sang a similar chorus. It's catchy. The franchise may have been lost in a black hole for decades now, but still, no NFL operation has given us pointed messaging that sticks over the decades quite like the Raiders. Just win, baby. Hasn't been happening much lately, but it still sounds good. Al Davis nailed that one. Commitment to excellence. See explanation above. Once a Raider, always a Raider. True, they've got a robust alumni group. Okay, even in the ultra-competitive environment of the NFL, the with not against theme coming from the QB room also represents an ideal approach for a man who surely doesn't miss a beat with his messaging. Mendoza's humility undoubtedly sets a foundation for the leadership that will be expected of him as he ascends. I'm taking a flowing role with these veteran leaders, Mendoza said, mindful of a group that not only includes Cousins, but also Max Crosby and Tyler Linderbaum. I'm just trying to do my part and focus on the next rep. So hold off pitting the rookie against the crafty vet. Raiders breaking number 1 QB trend. Still, the Raiders, who have talked for months about not needing the rookie to start immediately, are bucking a trend with this. If Mendoza doesn't open the season as the quarterback, he would become the first quarterback drafted number 1 overall to enter Week 1 a backup since Baker Mayfield took a back seat for the Browns early in the 2018 season. The last 6 number 1 overall QBs, Cam Ward, Caleb Williams, Bryce Young, Trevor Lawrence, Joe Burrow, and Kyler Murray, started in Week 1 as rookies. Why is that not the best option for Mendoza, who will have to take his lumps eventually? Number 1, I think you owe it to the roster to not have to play rookie quarterback early. Raiders rookie coach Clint Kubiak told USA Today Sports. But if he earns it, that's a whole different. Kubiak's words trailed off before he added, "The other thing is that you're playing the long game." Don't think the Raiders needed to sell the idea of a slow yet steady approach to Mendoza as they prepared to select him at the top of the draft in April. I was just honest with him and told him what we were doing, Kubiak said, and I didn't ask how he felt about it. Kubiak and Raiders general manager John Spytek, also haven't put a timetable on specifically when Mendoza might take over the starting role. If not week 1, could it happen in week 4, or would it shift in week 10? Just when, baby? Right now, we're committed to our process, Spytek said after the first camp practice. But I walk in every day thinking, what's going to happen today? You're kind of asking, what do you predict will happen? I don't know. I know we have a plan, and plans change. In fact, I anticipate they will change. It might not be with Fernando. It could be with someone else. We'll see. We said the best guy for the team will play. Right now, that's Kirk. Someday it will be Fernando. I don't know when it will be. We're committed to Kirk being the guy until something happens. Maybe rapid development by Mendoza becomes that something. He may not be positioned to directly compete against Cousins, at least not yet, but all along he will be measured by how well he digests Kubiak's system and other nuances. In other words, Mendoza's toughest competition might be the NFL learning curve. As nice as he sounds behind a podium, Mendoza didn't get to this point without tapping an inner fire that fuels competitive juices. I fully expect Fernando to push and challenge, make it hard, Spytek added. That's why we took him number 1. That's who he is. We still have to be mindful that we're doing everything to win games and take care of our young quarterback. It's so much bigger than him being ready to play. The whole team's got to be ready for him to be the leader of it, too. Mendoza, who appeared poised enough during the first week of practices, undoubtedly senses some early growth. He is becoming increasingly comfortable with Kubiak's system and has targeted fundamentals, such as taking snaps from under center, which wasn't part of his game in college. During the several weeks off before training camp, not only did he have the time to better digest the playbook, he dove into an assignment from quarterbacks coach Mike Sullivan to review every single snap from organized team activities. He rated components such as timing, footwork, progression reads, and accuracy. Through that, I was able to see some common things, common mishaps I'd have on certain concepts, Mendoza said. So I was able to reflect on them throughout the summer, walk through them, and now when I'm here in training camp, I'm able to. When I feel those urges come up, I am able to kill them and make the right play, whether that's a calculated shot down the field or whether that's a check down. Of course, Mendoza has a great resource to help decipher it all in Cousins, the 15th year veteran whose typically upbeat persona and professionalism add layers to the notion that he might be the perfect mentor. Cousins knows. When he broke into the NFL as a 4th-round pick with Washington in 2012 in a draft class for the team that included Robert Griffin III, the team had a 10-year veteran, Rex Grossman, whose resume included playing in a Super Bowl with the Bears. I just felt like I needed to ask him everything I possibly could, maybe to the point of being annoyed, Cousins reflected. I felt like having someone like that made a big difference for me in my career. Now he's more than willing to give back. Mendoza raved about how Cousins' knack for diagramming plays and his tendency to sort play concepts into groups that are easier to digest helped him gain a better understanding of the system. That's what competing with and not against looks like. I still have a long way to go, Mendoza said. I feel comfortable, but I'm nowhere near where I need to be, especially with learning the playbook. I still need to go a lot longer and attack the playbook harder. So, ways away. It's a matter of time, but that time is hardly now, especially as they compete with each other. Indiana hosed, SEC gets too much poll love. The preseason USLBM coaches poll shows the Big Ten getting tons of love at the top of the college football rankings, but the SEC earned plenty of down ballot respect. Who got snubbed? Who got too much love? And which unranked team should be in the top 25? Let's get to it in our coaches poll hot takes. Indiana still can't get its dues. Indiana got hosed. Imagine the Hoosiers as defending national champions. With this stacked defense, they return and now stitch Ohio State or Alabama or Oklahoma or some other blue-blooded name across the front of the jerseys. Where would they be ranked? Higher than 6th? I'll tell you that. This marks just the second time in the last 15 years the defending national champion got ranked outside of the top 5 in the ensuing preseason coaches poll. The other time it happened was 2 years ago when defending national champion Michigan got ranked number 8 the following season. That was more understandable. The Wolverines had lost coach Jim Harbaugh to the NFL. Their sign-stealing scheme had gotten exposed, and 13 players off the champion team were selected in the NFL draft. Just a handful of starters returned. The Hoosiers returned several starters on defense, alongside a seasoned offensive line. They used some quality transfer acquisitions to address skill position departures. True, the transition from Heisman Trophy winner Fernando Mendoza to TCU transferred Josh Hoover cannot be ignored. The 5 teams ranked ahead of Indiana returned their starting quarterbacks, and yet the last 2 national champions and the last 2 runners-up started transfer quarterbacks. Curt Cignetti is 27-2 the last 2 seasons. Has he not earned some trust? Not enough for a top 5 ranking, apparently. Notre Dame Fighting Irish are a national championship contender in hiding at number 5. When Notre Dame athletic director Pete Bevacqua learned the Irish didn't earn college football playoff selection last season, he called the ranking process a farce, and Notre Dame quit the season. Well, wait till he sees these preseason rankings. I won't call Notre Dame at number 5 a farce, but I will say the Irish are underrated. The Irish will enjoy the easiest schedule of any top 10 team, and the roster is built for national championship contention. Quarterback C.J. Carr could vie for the Heisman. Notre Dame returned gobs of production, including the majority of its defense and most of its offensive line. The Irish won't want to quit this year. Instead, they could be celebrating the program's first national championship since the 1988 season. SEC got a lot of love. Too much love? The SEC's claims of depth superiority over the Big Ten will gain a fresh chorus after the conference, where it just means more, supplied 6 teams in the top 11, 7 within the top 15, and 9 overall in the top 25. The SEC's rankings takeover indicates the conference's reputation mostly remains in good shape, despite the league not supplying a team for the national championship game in any of the last 3 seasons. Certainly, the Big Ten and SEC are on a different level than the ACC and Big 12. But 6 SEC teams within the top 11 reeks of the conference getting respect for its past dominance instead of reflecting recent playoff results, which show the SEC slipping off the top perch. The poll love for Oklahoma is particularly notable. The Sooners were picked to finish 7th in the SEC, but they grabbed the number 9 spot in these rankings. Somebody's wrong. If a team finishes 7th in the SEC, it's not going to be number 9 in the rankings. When in doubt, go with Ohio State's consistency. The top 6 teams in the poll each received multiple first-place votes. You could make a case for each to be number 1. Ohio State earned the nod. Why? I suspect trust in the Buckeye brand had something to do with it. Putting aside the pandemic season, Ohio State has won at least 10 games in every season, except one starting with the 2005 season. That's remarkable consistency. Is Ohio State really better assembled than Oregon or Indiana or Texas? That's debatable. Certainly, its offense is loaded, but Oregon and Indiana could have better defenses, and Texas oozes as much talent as anyone. When in doubt, though, there are dumber options than penciling in the Buckeyes atop the poll. They're almost a sure thing for 10-plus wins at least. Overrated teams. Number 9, Oklahoma. OU's schedule is tough. Its defense endured key departures, and quarterback John Mateer still needs to prove he's recovered from a broken thumb that affected him last season. Number 10, Ole Miss. You won't find many better tailback duos than Trinidad Chambliss and Kewan Lacey, but throughout the course of a full season, Ole Miss could feel the departure of Lane Kiffin and offensive coordinator Charlie Weis Jr. Number 16, Michigan. 6 ranked opponents on the schedule, plus a new coaching staff, and a still developing quarterback. What could go wrong, right? Number 3, Clemson. The Tigers nabbing a spot in the rankings amounts to lifetime achievement recognition for Dabo Swinney. Underrated teams. Number 12, Texas Tech. Texas Tech's defense remains fierce. Never mind the Brendan Sorsby saga. The Red Raiders might not allow more than 14 points in any game until the playoff. Number 13, LSU. The Tigers will rely heavily on transfers, but Kiffin knows how to blend them, and his portal haul was tremendous. Number 14, Southern Cal. The Trojans returned more starters than any other team. That includes their entire offensive line and quarterback, Jaden Mayava. Ingredients for a year 5 breakthrough for Lincoln Riley. Unranked Louisville. Drop Clemson from the ratings, insert Louisville in place of Tigers. It's that simple. Underrated players continue to contribute. With the back half of the WNBA season underway, we are keeping an eye on players flying under the radar. These are players who may not be as well known as others on their team and deserve a lot more attention for their efforts. Keeping this in mind, USA Today has compiled a list of some of the most underrated players across the league. For context and clarity, these players may not be starters, but they have high upside and should be on watch lists moving forward. We break it all down in this week's USA Today WNBA Power Rankings and underrated player for each team. Minnesota Lynx, 25-6. Previous rank, number 1. Maya Caldwell's length and athleticism often go under the radar. At 5'11", she isn't the biggest guard, but she moves well and can drain a shot when asked. Be wary of the lethal Caldwell 3 ball. What's more, Caldwell is a sneaky good defender who can handle guarding many positions. Number 2, Golden State Valkyries, 20-9. Previous rank, number 2. Letitia Amahir's journey in the WNBA has been uneven, but when given the chance to shine, Amahir's bag is much deeper than people think. The forward can sink a basket from all 3 levels, and her footwork and handles have helped her stay in plays after many others would have given up. If Amahir can continue improving while becoming more consistent, a breakout season might be in her future. Number 3, Las Vegas Aces, 21-9. Previous rank, number 4. Cheyenne Parker Tyrus has spent 12 seasons in the league and started 121 games during her pro career. The forward is a force on the glass, and when she gets going in the paint, she's hard to stop. The Aces forward can also splash it from deep. Her 3-pointers have helped her be a threat you don't want to second guess. Number 4, Atlanta Dream, 18-11. Previous rank, number 6. Medina Okot has only played basketball for 6 years. Incredible considering she was a 2026 first-round draft pick. Okot's still raw in many areas, but it's hard not to see the upside. The center is fearless in the paint, backing down the league's best post players as she banks home her shots and cleans up the boards. Number 5, Dallas Wings, 19-11. Previous rank, number 3. Lee Uru's quiet demeanor often causes people to overlook just how well the center plays. Uru is calm yet steady as she unleashes her footwork in the paint. She is also a solid rim protector and doesn't get enough credit for it. Indiana Fever, 19-11. Previous rank, number 5. It feels like forward Michaela Timpson has been simmering in the wings for a while. However, this season she comes into her own, playing more confidently. Timpson has 0 problems guarding anyone and will take it to the rack without hesitation. As a result, her minutes have more than doubled this season, rising from 7.1 to nearly 16. Number 7, Washington Mystics, 16-12. Previous rank, 8. Guard Rory Harmon's playing time in the WNBA has been minimal despite being Texas's leading floor general in college. She's been in a guard-heavy rotation that hasn't helped her chances. Still, it's not Harmon's offense that will likely keep her on a roster. She's a lightning bolt on defense who causes chaos. New York Liberty, 18-3. Previous rank, number 7. The things guard Pauline Astier can do on a basketball court almost feel inconceivable. Her balance and ability to hit off-kilter shots need to be studied. Half court, the paint from deep, you name it. Astier can hit. The Liberty having the rookie as an option doesn't seem fair. She's averaging nearly 10 points, 3.5 rebounds, and 1 steal off the bench. Chicago Sky, number 9, 11-19. Previous rank, 13. Sydney Taylor has become one of Chicago's best acquisitions this season. The rookie guard doesn't care who is on the other side of the ball. She will score. Her footwork and clutch shot making are underrated as well. Her patience to find the right shot and then execute it at a high level is impressive. Number 10, Phoenix Mercury, 12-19. Previous rank, 10. Natasha Mock is one of those players opposing defenses don't see coming until it's too late. The forward is a lot quicker than she seems, and her command of the paint on both sides of the ball makes her a tough matchup. Mock is having a career year in Phoenix, averaging 8.8 points, 7.4 rebounds, and 1.3 blocks. Number 11, Los Angeles Sparks, 11 and 17. Previous rank, number 12. Ray Burrell had a nice off-season in Unrivaled, where she displayed her shot-making ability to change directions on a dime and instinct to take over a game. That helped propel the forward to a huge year in the W, where she doubled her production from last season, 7.5 points per game to 13.4, and improved her field goal percentage of a career high 45.9%. Portland, number 12, Portland Fire, 11 and 19. Previous rank, 9. Carly Samuelson's recent injury history, left foot, may have kept her off most people's radar, but the guard is the type of player who can go get a basket in any time. Her sweet spot is the deep range makes, and she's proved that once she gets going in a catch and shoot situation, she's hard to rattle. Number 11, Toronto Tempo, 10 and 19. Previous rank, number 11. Anissa Morrow just arrived to the Tempo via trade and has yet to take the floor, but Toronto should appreciate all she brings to the table. Her motor allows her to be a fearless rebounder and an offensive pest when on a hot streak. It's not uncommon to see the forward quickly pull up for a jumper or drive the lane, leaving defenders scrambling. Number 14, Connecticut Sun, 7 and 23. Previous rank, 14. Guard Sanya Rivers' time in the W has been underwhelming. At times, she is inconsistent and seems to have lost the shot-making and two-way abilities that made her a star in college. That said, the flashes are there. If she can tap into her offensive bag, including more from mid-range and beyond the arc, she has a chance to carve out more starting minutes. Number 15, Seattle Storm, 6 and 26. Previous rank, 15. Center, Stephanie Dolson, who is in her 13th season of the WNBA, doesn't produce as much as she did earlier in her career. That said, she can still score when asked and has no problem letting the three-pointers fly from range. You're listening to a reading of today's issue of USA Today on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. The time is 31 minutes after the hour. Dodgers trade deadline can't stop hot Red Sox. How much higher can the Boston Red Sox fly? It's starting to feel like revenge season in Boston, where a club that went 10 and 17 with fired Alex Cora is now a seemingly unbeatable 50-34 with interim but probably permanent Chad Tracy. Lost in the hubbub of Tarek Skubal's arrival in Los Angeles was the Red Sox schooling the Dodgers over 3 games, running their unstoppable streak to 23 wins in 26 games, moving within 5 games of first place. They now have a virtual lock on the number 2 wild card in the American League, and also Adley Rutschman in the fold, ready to upgrade their putrid production at catcher, while Ceddanne Rafaela continues his MVP run. All that's left is home cooking. The Red Sox are 25 and 29 at Fenway Park. USA Today's MLB Power Rankings. Number 1, Los Angeles Dodgers. Forget Skubal, Benny Biceps is a Dodger again. Number 2, Milwaukee Brewers. The game's best farm system remains intact, but at what cost? Number 3, Atlanta Braves. The Eli White era is over. Number 4, Tampa Bay Rays. Liam Hicks might have been the best under the radar deadline ad. Number 5, New York Yankees. Camilo Doval's addition by subtraction might be Yankees fans' deadline highlight. Number 6, Chicago Cubs. Clay Holmes, David Peterson, Michael Conforto, Tyrone Taylor. Is this Queens Midwest? Boston Red Sox. Imagine telling a Red Sox fan 2 years ago that Kyle Teal and Marcelo Mayer were gone. Roman Anthony slipping out of favor, and Christian Campbell buried in the minors. Number 8, Chicago White Sox. Wise to have a modest deadline. Number 9, Arizona Diamondbacks. Surge into National League's number 2 wildcard spot, and only add Lars Nootbaar? Number 10, Philadelphia Phillies. Bryce Harper looks more Harper-like in right field. Anyway. Number 11, San Diego Padres. Death, taxes, P.J. Preller drafting a first-round pitcher and trading him with dispatch. Cleveland Guardians. So conservative over the years that trading for Foster Griffin left like a lightning strike. Miami Marlins. An absolutely skittish team the last 2 weeks, and deadline reflected it. Houston Astros overtake Rangers, find their lefty swinging outfielder, perhaps are so back. Minnesota Twins, a team we can all rally around, adding key bullpen hope, even as playoff odds tenuous. Number 16, Pittsburgh Pirates. Slipped under .500, but still snagged best reliever on market in Luke Weaver. Number 17, Texas Rangers. Should be getting healthier soon. Number 18, Washington Nationals. You won't find a more poorly timed 5-game losing streak than their pre-deadline skid. Number 19, St. Louis Cardinals. Lars Nootbaar gone. Alec Burleson stays. Number 20, Seattle Mariners. A typical Jerry DiPato W not busting up team after grim stretch dampens playoff odds. 21, Baltimore Orioles. At least the Peter Angelos era was morbidly entertaining. Number 22, Detroit Tigers. What a waste. Number 23, Cincinnati Reds. Tyler Stevenson, still a Red. What an upset. Number 24, Toronto Blue Jays. A deft buy-sell gambit as Jose Soriano makes them better now and in 2027. Number 25, San Francisco Giants. Will fresh start for California kid Marcelo Mayer pay off? Number 26, New York Mets. Not even their sell-off was very interesting. Number 27, Kansas City Royals. Gentle applause for not throwing in the towel on 27-2. Number 28, Athletics. Welcome to YOLO County, Seth Johnson. Otherwise, a non-existent deadline. Number 29, Colorado Rockies. Yeah, trading Hunter Goodman felt like an East Coast fever dream. And number 30, Los Angeles Angels. Is an Art Moreno actually listening to John Mosliak? Amazing. This is the life section. Saldana puts in the work to capture lioness roar. Lioness star Zoe Saldana says she heard critics who questioned whether her CI operative Joe McNamara could pull off the hit TV series' intense physical scenes, and she responded. For season 3, Saldana, 48, took her physical preparation to new levels, in part to silence any naysayers. The Oscar-winning actress muscled up for the Taylor Sheridan created show, most explosive combat-heavy season yet. The first episode is streaming now on Paramount+. It's very typical to think that a woman with a petite frame cannot be strong or capable. The 5'6" star tells USA Today. I've always faced this backlash, like people cannot believe Jo could do many of her scenes. And yet, I've always been this athletic actress, constantly training, even when I was pregnant with my children. The criticism almost feeds me, says Saldana. It challenges me to prove people wrong. Training began after Saldana won her Oscar. The journey began in summer of 2025. After winning the Academy Award for Supporting Actress in Emilia Perez that March, Saldana got a call from Lioness creator Taylor Sheridan. He gave her a preview of the demanding new season, which sends the CIA's elite Lioness team, led by director Caitlin Mead, Nicole Kidman, to the front lines of the war in Ukraine, while Jo's family comes under threat. Taylor called me like 2 months before we headed to Texas for the season and told me what to expect, Saldana says. He said, I definitely want you to build more muscle. I want Jo to be just a machine. Saldana interpreted that to mean she'd be fighting for battlefield proficiency for her similarly aged character. That's the driving factor. Jo has to be sharp and stay on point, she says. She understands that she's fighting time and gravity. Saldana immediately hired a private trainer to take her through the paces while vacationing in Italy that summer with her husband, Italian artist Marco Perego Saldana, and their 3 sons, twins Sai and Bowie 10 and Zen 8. Italy can be a very tempting country to spend a summer, Saldana says. I needed a trainer who watched my nutrition and helped me build strength. The former dancer, who trained extensively in ballet and classical dance, earns a training montage for Jo and Lioness, preparing for battle in the gym with the sound of ominous world headlines playing as the soundtrack. While effective, bad news is not what Saldana plays during her workouts. It's motivating for Jo to hear that news, but I go for pop playlists, Saldana says. I go for Ariana Grande, Madonna, maybe some black coffee. Listening to the news of the world is the last thing that's going to get me on a treadmill. Saldana acts alongside Sheridan, who's an intimidating cat. At Jo's suburban home in the United States, attacks threaten her fragile life, while surgeon husband Neil, played by Dave Annabelle, along with daughters Kate, played by Hannah Love Lanier, and Charlie, played by Celestina Harris. On the front lines in Ukraine, Jo navigates the surreal, drone-dominated battlefield alongside veteran operatives including Cruz Manuelos, played by Laisla de Oliveira, Two Cups, played by James Jordan, and Sergeant Major Cody Spears, played by Sheridan, as the team hunts a high-value Russian target. Sheridan's formidable character, Cody, is the most experienced and vocal at surviving this new lethal style of warfare. Sheridan is an intimidating cat, Saldana says. I'm not going to lie. And he comes in so serious, it raises the bar for the rest of us. Sheridan allowed episode director Michael Friedman to run the show without pulling the boss card. He didn't walk on set directing Sheridan, following Michael's directions respectfully and honorably, Saldana says. Shooting this was rough and rustic and intimidating, but everyone brought the A game. Building muscle for Jo inspired me. The Avatar actress was ready for the moment, with training and pre-filming refresher courses on handguns and semi-automatics. It's crucial for the entire team to look as authentic as possible, Saldana says. I get to walk away with the skill level that I never dreamed of obtaining. It makes me feel stronger. However, the physical preparation really drove her character in season 3. Weight training is essential, especially for women of a certain age. She says, it gives you strength you never thought you had, and that gives you so much confidence. It's like you can do difficult things. Building muscle for Joe inspired me. Shatner Paisley's love is enduring. William Shatner and country star Brad Paisley are reuniting for a new chapter in the galaxy's unlikeliest musical friendship, teaming up on Shatner's intimate spoken word album, Love and Other Mysteries, due out August 21st. USA Today can exclusively reveal. Paisley, 53, and Shatner, 95, have collaborated on several acclaimed musical projects over the past 2 decades, beginning with Paisley co-writing and performing the song Has Been, the title track from Shatner's spoken word album in 2004. Shatner also has made memorable cameos in Paisley's music videos, Celebrity in 2003 and Online in 2007. But 3-time Grammy winner Paisley knew this latest album would boldly go to a new emotional worlds with a non-agenarian Star Trek icon, known for his theatrical line delivery and campy sense of humor. Bill came to me and said, "Brad, I've written some songs, and they are my statement about love," Paisley says. "I've always said yes when Shatner has anything going on. One thing I've learned is it will be unexpected, innovative, and it will be a blast." Making Love and Other Mysteries lived up to the billing. Shatner prepared 15 spoken word pieces that were almost like poems, Paisley says, dealing with everything from his joy for life, thoughts on death, and his famed 2021 trip into space aboard the Blue Origin New Shepard. "I said that I've got something really special," Shatner said. "These are deeply personal songs dealing with my life, starting from me leaving home." The Los Angeles wildfires in 2025 forced the project out of Shatner's home state and into the Nashville home studio Paisley shares with his actress wife, Kimberly Williams Paisley. Paisley said he even built an extra vocal recording booth in advance, "because I knew Bill was coming." Paisley and fellow producer Luke Wooten worked out musical arrangements with the band led by Paisley, Dawes singer and guitarist Taylor Goldsmith, and Nashville legend Gordon Mote on keyboards. Shatner recorded the spoken words aloud without accompaniment, which is already pretty priceless, Paisley says. Meanwhile, the band arranged appropriate music to fit the words. "We took his vocals and his rhythm and arranged them into this narration, with some rock, some country feel, some ethereal or jazzy," Paisley says. "I don't know what it is. It's spoken word meets beat poetry that goes to inspirational at times." When it came time to record, Shatner and the band had the bulk of the work done in one marathon session. "We were floored that night listening to it. Truly, whatever blossom, I never expected to work this well, that quickly," Paisley says. "I'm really proud of it. It's the best thing we've ever done together. In many ways, it feels like his musical memoir." Shatner, too, moved by the work, which was completed ahead of the Star Trek 60th anniversary next month. "These songs and this poetry are a creative outlet for me," he says. "What they represent is life-changing." Shatner and Paisley are unlikely friends for the ages. Paisley is thrilled to have been friends with Shatner for decades, even visiting the actor at his Los Angeles home for his vaunted Monday Night Football events. He's got this 20-foot screen, and he brings in catered food, Paisley said. One week it was Bill and Star Trek Picard star Patrick Stewart sitting on chairs in the middle of the room. I thought this place was going to go into warp drive. The friendship and appreciation has grown only stronger over the decades. It was hard for me to realize this is a real guy who was also hungry for life in a way I've never seen in anybody, especially at his age, Paisley says. Hosting the energetic Shatner is a bit like having a tornado in your home. He adds, he always has 500 things going. The visit was a thrill for Williams Paisley, along with William Huckleby, 19, and Jasper Warren, 17, the couple's two sons. At the end of the recording evening, Paisley played the music for his family in the living room. I said, "Sit down and listen to this." They were floored and asked me, "Dad, why don't you do stuff like this?" You're listening to a reading of today's issue of USA Today on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. The time is 52 minutes after the hour. Today Family shares trauma on off air. The Today Show calls itself a family, one that has broadcast into America's homes each weekday morning for more than 7 weekdays. Over that remarkable run, the Today Family has endured an extraordinary amount of public heartbreak, while its recognizable stars repeatedly leaning on and supporting one another through life's most devastating moments. 6 months ago, Savannah Guthrie's missing mother became the latest and most profound crisis to shake the normally upbeat crew playing out publicly and on air from New York City's famously windowed Studio 1A. In news that shook the nation, Nancy Guthrie, 84, was reported missing from her Tucson, Arizona home on Sunday, February 1st, with people stating she was taken from her home against her will. A devastated Savannah took a leave of absence from Today on February 2nd and withdrew from hosting the February 6th Olympic opening ceremony in Milan Cortina, urging fans on Instagram, "Please pray." 6 months later, the investigation remains active but unsolved, with no suspects. The Guthrie family continues to offer a $1 million reward for information, in addition to the FBI's $100,000 reward. Nancy's kidnapping is a shocking and deeply unusual tragedy, but it is far from the only trauma that the members of the Today Show have endured. From cancer to the death of spouses to mental health challenges, the hosts have experienced a large share of intense struggles over the years, sharing and processing these hardships with millions of viewers, sometimes in real time. Here's how the Today Family has dealt with this ongoing personal crisis and other devastating life events in the past, and how they've stepped up for one another time and again. Intruder confronted Melvin before the broadcast. On July 16th, a frightening security breach unfolded when an intruder eluded Studio 1A security and confronted co-anchor Craig Melvin before the live broadcast, allegedly hurling a racial slur at Melvin. Andrew Truelove, 41, was taken into custody and charged with burglary as well as menacing, with both charges as hate crimes. Truelove allegedly was looking for weatherman Al Roker when he encountered Melvin, 47, by a stairwell. Following the July 16th broadcast, Melvin took to Instagram to reassure fans. "I've heard from so many of you over the last few hours. I'm doing just fine. Thanks for reaching out," he wrote in the post. "I'm looking forward to seeing you tomorrow morning." Hoda Kotb battled breast cancer, daughter Hope's medical condition. Hoda Kotb was diagnosed with breast cancer in 2007, which she shared candidly on Today after a mastectomy and reconstructive surgery in March of 2007. Kotb was inspired to tell NBC Brass that she wanted to be the new host of the fourth hour of the Today Show, a role that became a reality with Kathie Lee Gifford in October of 2007. In early 2023, Kotb took a 2-week leave of absence from Today. When she returned to the show in March of that year, she revealed to Guthrie and viewers that she had been caring for her youngest daughter, Hope, in the hospital's intensive care unit. "I'm grateful to my family and to friends like you who were there every single day," Kotb said, her voice cracking with emotion. "I'm so grateful she's home. I was waiting for that day to come." Kotb later exited Today for good, sharing a tearful on-air goodbye on January 10, 2025. In May of that year, Kotb returned as a guest and revealed on air that Hope's type 1 diabetes definitely weighed in on her decision to step away from her 26-year career. Jones loses husband Uche Oje after brain cancer diagnosis. In January of 2025, Chanel Jones shared in a statement to Today's viewers that she was taking time to deal with a family health matter. In May of that year, Guthrie revealed on Today that Jones' husband, Uche Oje, who had been privately dealing with an aggressive brain cancer called glioblastoma, had died at 45 after a courageous battle. The couple wed in 2007 after meeting at Northwestern University. Jones returned to the show September 5th, 2025, speaking with Guthrie about her time with her husband and their 3 children, Kyan, 16, and twins Clara and Uche, 13. "It's a beautiful nightmare," Jones said of the tragedy, also telling her friend, "My heart is shattered in a million pieces." Jones reflected on the death of her husband on February 4th birthday, highlighting the significance of the date and then her family's new reality at the start of the Today Show. "I've been so busy that I think I underestimated how tough this one would be," Jones shared with viewers. "And in some ways, it's harder than Thanksgiving or Christmas, because you know those are coming. And everybody knows it with you. So you're fortified. You're fortified with love and calls. But this is one of those where it's just kind of this tribe and the people in our family. So I've had a lot of texts today because they understand that." Al Roker shared prostate cancer diagnosis. In November of 2020, Roker revealed that he had been diagnosed with prostate cancer during the show, saying that he would undergo surgery to have his prostate removed the next week. "It's a good news, bad news kind of thing," Roker said. "Good news is that we caught it early. Not great news is that it's a little aggressive. So I'm going to be taking some time off to take care of this." In the years since, Rokers has periodically reflected on that journey on air, marking such milestones as his 5th surgery anniversary, discussing how his experience has changed his life, and urging viewers to get regular screenings. Katie Couric returned to Today after husband's death. The litany of devastation for Today anchors is not limited to the current lineup. Katie Couric, who hosted the program from 1991 to 2006, also faced personal hardships during her long tenure. Her husband, Jay Monahan, was just 42 when he died in 1998 from colorectal cancer. When Couric returned from her bereavement to co-host Today on February 24, 1998, the TV moment became one of the most powerful in the show's history. Many of you know I lost my husband, Jay Monahan, my loving and beloved husband, last month, Couric said, opening the broadcast. Words alone cannot describe how devastating this loss has been to me and my daughters and all of Jay's family. After thanking viewers for the cards and letters, Couric honored all of you who might be struggling with a life-threatening disease right now. Just know that my heart goes out to you. Meredith Vieira left today to be with her husband, Richard Cohen. Meredith Vieira, who took over as host from Couric in 2006, announced her departure from today on May 9, 2011, saying she wanted to spend more time with her family, including her husband, Richard Cohen, who had been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. It's a difficult day for me. I'm going to hold myself together here, Vieira said, sitting on the couch with her colleagues. Time is one of those weird things you can never get enough of. It's ticking away, and I know I want to spend more of my time with my husband, Richard. Vieira told Codby during a 2022 appearance on Today that it was the best job, but it wasn't the right job for me at that time. Over the years, the couple often appeared on Today to speak candidly about living with the illness, caregiving, and resilience. When Cohen died at age 76 on December 24, 2025, the accomplished journalist and father of three was honored with a tribute on the Today Show. Carson Daly opened up about his anxiety on Today. In 2018, Today's show, Carson Daly, known for his 1990s-2000 run as the host of MTV's Total Request Live, was vulnerable with his co-host and viewers. Daly revealed his inner battle with anxiety on the air, saying it was the way he was born. It's something I cannot change about myself, Daly said. In fact, it's okay. I've learned to embrace it. There's a downside to the way that God made me, and I'm tremendous and a tremendous upside as well. Daily advocating seeking help from a professional psychotherapist. We're so proud of you, Codby said. Making waves, Zac Brown. Zac Brown Band fans have a big reason to be knee-deep in happiness. During the group's August 2nd performance at Fenway Park in Boston, Brown told the 35,000 attendees that the band was presenting each of them with the cruise aboard Margaritaville at sea. I'm buying every single person here a cruise for 2 people on the boat, Brown told the crowd. This is the biggest giveaway in history, ladies and gentlemen. The surprise is valued at more than $40 million, according to Brown's representatives. You've been listening to a reading of the USA Today for Wednesday, August 5th, 2026. We read the USA Today weekdays at noon. For more information, call us at 716-821-5555. Your reader for this hour has been Nancy.
Coming up next on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, we have episode number 3 of Wayward Girls by Susan Wiggs. Following that, at 3 o'clock is Healthy Living, and at 4 o'clock is a re-airing of today's Buffalo News. Stay with us. You're listening to the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service. As of this year, our agency has broadcast more than 300,000 hours of radio readings. Volunteer radio readers read newspapers, magazines, and books to area people who are blind or have a print disability, who are provided reading radios. Radio Reading's broadcast signal is provided at no charge by WNED. Radio Reading broadcasts from studios at 1199 Harlem Road in suburban Buffalo. Please let others know about Radio Reading. It's your service. For more information on the Niagara Frontier Radio Reading Service, call 716-821-5555. following program is intended for listeners who are blind, have low vision, or have another print disability